If Tyson beats Usyk, I want to fight the best in the world. And if he beats Usyk, he's the best in the world. And he's a great friend of mine, but I'll fight anyone and everyone to be the best, because I know I'm the best.
From dominating the cruiserweight division to becoming the heavyweight king, Oleksandr Usyk has taken on every challenge thrown his way. But with the heavyweight scene heating up, the question on everyone's mind is, what's next for the champ? Should he take on Joseph Parker to fulfill his WBO mandatory? Or should he go straight for a rematch with Daniel Dubois to reclaim his undisputed status?
Usyk, well, I want my revenge. I want my revenge, Usyk. Well done on tonight. Well done on tonight. God bless. I want my revenge for the robbery in last time. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go. Where's Frank? Make it happen.
Mr. Excellency, Your Excellency.
Business-wise, if I was Usyk, that's the path I'd go. I'd go Parker, I'd go Dubois. That's how I'd look at it. And I'm quite sure everybody else is this promote.
Sky Sports expert Johnny Nelson believes there's only one right answer. Usyk should fight Parker first. And when you break it down, it makes perfect sense. Let's talk about why. Usyk's path has never been easy, whether it was beating Tony Bellew out by boxing Anthony Joshua twice, or handling Tyson Fury's trash talk on the way to their fight, he's always taken on the toughest challenges.
Oh, and again Usyk with it. And what we have to remember, Oleksandr Usyk putting on the performance of a lifetime. AJ, play it safe, or will he go for?
But the Parker fight isn't just about proving himself, it's about ticking the right boxes. Usyk has already beaten Daniel Dubois. That fight is done. It might not have been the most dominant performance of his career, but he got the job done. Dubois gave him trouble in moments, but Usyk adjusted, adapted, and proved why he's one of the most skilled boxers of this era. Joseph Parker, however, is a fresh opponent. He's a name Usyk hasn't tested himself against. And that matters because Usyk is known for his ability to analyze fighters, figure out their weaknesses, and exploit them. When he fights someone for the first time, he's gathering data. When he fights them again, he dominates.
Whoa! And Floyd, hands are full known right now. It's Parker who set up going for a knockout. Joseph Parker caught him again. Wilder swinging in ghosts right now. Wilder got to hold on here. The referee's close. There's that big rainbow shot. You've been out of good back, Sergio.
Fighting Parker now means Usyk stays active, stays sharp, and adds another big win to his record. And let's not forget, Parker is dangerous. He's not the same fighter he was a few years ago. He's been on a tear, defeating Deontay Wilder and showing the world that he's still a legitimate threat in the division. Beating him would only boost Usyk's legacy. Boxing politics play a role in every decision a fighter makes. If Usyk doesn't take the Parker fight, he could risk losing his WBO title. And why would Usyk give up a belt when he's so close to solidifying his dominance? Gareth A. Davies summed up the situation perfectly, saying, "It's a depth charge that the WBO have dropped, and it will scupper Usyk and Dubois being undisputed."
Dubois holds the IBF title that was stripped from Usyk. Going to the complications of this, stripped from Usyk after he won all the belts against Tyson Fury. Basically they're saying you're not going to have the WBO belt for this undisputed title fight that they're putting Usyk and Daniel Dubois together. It is boxing politics at its worst. It's a depth charge that the WBO have dropped, and it will scupper Usyk.
The main reason for a rematch between Usyk and Dubois is the controversy surrounding their first fight. Many felt that Dubois was unfairly robbed after landing a body shot that was ruled a low blow. As Davies pointed out, they've got all the controversy of the low blow in the first fight.
The biggest fight out there.
We have to wait. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think Parker will have to wait. But the fascinating thing, because I think Usyk and Dubois does sell in a big stadium in the UK. They got all the controversy of the low blow in the first fight. Dubois flying. Some people think he might do a good job against Usyk. I think Usyk still wins that. But
that controversy has fueled discussions about a rematch, with some believing that Dubois could put on a better performance the second time around. However, Davies doesn't see it playing out that way. Some people think he might do a good job against Usyk. I think Usyk still wins that. This raises an important point. If the fight's outcome already seems predictable and there's no undisputed title on the line, why should Usyk take it? Additionally, the WBO stripping Usyk of his title changes everything. If the belt is now vacant, it should be fought for by the most deserving contenders. That's where Parker comes in.
The fascinating thing for Parker, if Usyk's stripped of the title and that becomes vacant, is that number 1, 2, and 3 are Justice Hooney, Moses Itauma, and Fabio Wardley in the rankings. So who knows what may happen with that? But it's boxing being complicated again, and it really shouldn't be.
If Usyk wants to fight for a legitimate title rather than just a rematch based on controversy, Joseph Parker makes the most sense as an opponent. Davies broke down the WBO rankings and noted that the top contenders right now are Justice Hooney, Moses Itauma, and Fabio Wardley. But of these names carry the same weight as Parker. Parker is a former world champion with a resume far more impressive than Dubois. His dominant victory over Deontay Wilder showed that he's back in top form, and he's already proven he can hang with the best in the division. If the WBO belt is truly vacant, wouldn't it make more sense for Usyk to fight Parker for it? And let's not forget what's at stake here. Davies said it best, boxing being complicated again, and it really shouldn't be this complicated. The simplest solution is the best: Usyk versus Parker for the WBO belt. The heavyweight division is at a crucial turning point. Saudi Arabia's growing financial influence has led to more super fights, and fans are demanding high-stakes matchups. Davies even acknowledged this, saying, "Without the Saudis, you wouldn't get them."
Has been ordered by the WBO to begin negotiations with Joseph Parker for a mandatory title defense. Joseph retained his interim WBO title in Feb with a second-round knockout win against Piccoli. Usyk and Parker have 30 days to find an agreement, or the WBO will order purse bid proceedings.
That means promoters and fighters should be focusing on making the biggest and most meaningful fights happen. Right now, Usyk versus Dubois lacks the stakes and the appeal of a true championship fight. Without the undisputed title on the line, it loses its importance. Meanwhile, Usyk versus Parker has a legitimate purpose, crowning a rightful WBO champion. By fighting Parker now, Usyk keeps all his belts and keeps his options open. If he wins, he's still the unified champion and he can pick his next move. It's the smartest play. Now let's talk about Daniel Dubois. Yes, he's the IBF champion now, and yes, he's looked good in recent fights. But does Usyk need to fight him right now? Dubois may have improved since their first fight, but that doesn't change the fact that Usyk already has a win over him. And history has shown us one thing about Usyk: he's even more dangerous in rematches. Usyk isn't a knockout artist who relies on power to win fights. He's a technical genius. He studies his opponents, breaks them down, and makes adjustments. If they fight again, Usyk will be even more prepared.
Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic is a very interesting fight that I think will come down to the strategy and conservation of energy from Daniel Dubois, more so than the skill.
Dubois' win over Filip Hrgovic was solid, but it wasn't enough to demand an immediate rematch with Usyk. He's in a good position, but his resume still needs a few more big names. That's why a fight with Anthony Joshua makes perfect sense for him right now. If Dubois beats Joshua, then the Usyk rematch becomes even bigger, but if he fights Usyk next and loses again, that's 2 losses to the same guy, and his stock drops significantly. Dubois still has time. His rematch with Usyk will come, but it doesn't need to be next. Now, let's talk about the other big name in this equation, Anthony Joshua. Where does he fit into all of this?
From Daniel Dubois! Daniel Dubois knocks out Anthony Joshua in front of a record-breaking night.
Tyson Fury is out of the mix for now. That means Joshua needs a big fight to stay relevant in the heavyweight conversation. And what bigger fight is there right now than AJ versus Dubois rematch? If Usyk beats Parker and Joshua beats Dubois, suddenly we have a whole new set of possibilities. Usyk versus Joshua 3? Maybe. Usyk versus Dubois again? If Dubois proves himself, absolutely. The key here is keeping things interesting. The heavyweight division needs big fights, and this setup delivers exactly that.
Right. Listen, Usyk-Parker fight, I think is a good fight. Parker's on a bit of a roll. He's just beaten Martin Bakole. That was a great knockout. I know Bakole was flying in late from the Congo and he was tired, but that shot on the top of his head sent his equilibrium, and he got stretchered and he got ironed out. It was all over the place. The fight had to be stopped. So, although it was a good...
Carl Froch, however, gave a contradictory opinion on the WBO ordering Oleksandr Usyk to fight Joseph Parker, questioning whether this is really the fight fans want to see. He acknowledges Parker's recent victory over Martin Bakole, calling it a great knockout, but also pointing out that Bakole wasn't in peak condition. I know Bakole was flying in late from the Congo and he was tired, but that shot on the top of his head sent his equilibrium, and he got stretched. He got ironed out. It was all over the place. The fight had to be stopped. Despite Parker's strong performance, Froch isn't convinced he stands much of a chance against Usyk.
But I'll be honest, I would rather see Dubois Usyk. I think that's a more interesting fight. I think Dubois has got more of a chance against Usyk. He dropped him down. I know it was a body shot, stroke, low blow, depending on which side of the fence you're on. But it was a good fight. Dubois has improved since. Usyk's getting older. Obviously, they're both getting older, but Usyk's old. He's 30.
Froch highlights Usyk's dominance, emphasizing how difficult it would be for Parker to pull off an upset. Look at what Usyk's done. Usyk's done AJ twice, and he beat Fury twice. So you can't really say that Joseph Parker has got a great deal of a chance against somebody like Usyk. However, he does acknowledge that timing could play a factor, saying, "You never know." Timing. If Usyk's getting old and Parker's on a bit of a crest of a wave, doing well, it will make for an interesting fight. And you know, I'd like to see Parker get his shot, get a bit of the old bunts. He deserves it.
Dubois gives Usyk more of a challenge than Parker. But my heart's saying, give Parker his shot, he deserves it. But it's interesting, if the WBO are going to take the title off Usyk, and the Dubois fight, as I've already said, is not a unification fight, maybe give Parker his shot, and then Dubois can then step in and fight the winner of that.
That being said, Froch believes there's a more compelling matchup available. He argues that Usyk versus Daniel Dubois is the better fight, saying, "I think the fight I'd rather see would be Dubois-Usyk. I think that's a more interesting fight. I think Dubois has more of a chance against Usyk." He references their previous fight where Dubois managed to knock Usyk down with a body shot, though there was controversy over whether it was a legal punch. Dubois dropped him. Now, I know it was a body shot stroke low blow, depending on which side of the fence you're on, but it was a good fight. Dubois has improved since. Usyk's getting older. Obviously, they're both getting older, but Usyk's old. He's 36 years old, and Daniel Dubois is in the prime of his career at 27.
Shot, and then Dubois can then step in and fight the winner of that. But I think the massive favourite, like I've already said, is Usyk if he's fighting Parker. So Oleksandr Usyk's got a decision here to make. Does he vacate the WBO and maybe fight Dubois, or does he fight Parker for the WBO? He's been ordered to do that. That's what really...
With the WBO ordering the Parker fight, Froch speculates on Usyk's next move. He believes Usyk might vacate the WBO title to pursue a rematch with Dubois instead. Usyk's got a decision to make here. Does he vacate the WBO and maybe fight Dubois, or does he fight Parker for the WBO? He's been ordered to do that. That's what really he should do if he wants to keep hold of his titles. However, Froch predicts Usyk will likely give up the belt. I think he'll probably vacate, and hopefully if he does vacate, fight Daniel Dubois, because that is a rematch that I think most boxing fans do want to see.
Fight Daniel Dubois, because that is a rematch that I think most boxing fans do want to see. Let me know in the comments who you want to see Usyk fight next, and do you think he should vacate or not? And if Usyk does vacate, then who does Parker fight? I mean, I'd like to see Parker fight somebody like AJ. I think that's a good win for Parker, to be honest. I think AJ's finished. I think AJ's well past his best. I don't think his mind's in it. I just think he's finished. And I'm not being an AJ hater. I'm just being honest. He's been ironed out a couple of times, and he's not showing any kind.
If Usyk does vacate, Froch believes Parker should look elsewhere for his next big fight, suggesting a potential matchup with Anthony Joshua. If Usyk does vacate, then who does Parker fight? I mean, I'd like to see Parker fight somebody like AJ. I think that's a good fight. I think that's a good win for Parker, to be honest. However, Frock isn't convinced that Joshua is still mentally invested in the sport. I don't think AJ's mind's in it. I think he's finished. And I'm not being an AJ hater. I'm just being honest. He's been hit out a couple of times, and he's not showing any kind of signs of wanting to come back. He also doubts whether the long-rumored Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight will ever happen, stating he was hanging around there for the Fury fight, but the Fury fight's probably not gonna happen. Fury seems to be digging his heels in and staying retired. At the end of the day, Usyk is in the driver's seat. He's the unified champ. He controls his own destiny. And the smartest move for him right now? Fight Parker, then deal with Dubois later. But with every fight, the clock keeps ticking. Oleksandr Usyk knows his time in the ring is limited, but how much longer does he really have?
How long do you think we will enjoy Oleksandr Usyk, the fighter? How long is left in this career of yours, do you think?
I think it's more than 2 years. 1.5.
Who will make that decision? Will that be yourself? Will it be your wife? Will it be your kids? Will it be your body? Or do you have an exit strategy, a number of fights or a time period where you say that will be it?
I feel great, myself, family. I feel I have more to fight, to prepare. Not.
I think it's more than 2 years, Usyk said when asked how much time he has left in his career. Maybe 2, maybe 1.5. While he still feels strong, he knows that the clock is ticking. Heavyweight boxing is brutal, and even the best fighters must listen to their bodies at some point. But when that time comes, who will make that decision? Will it be him, his family, or his body forcing him to step away? Usyk thought carefully before responding. I feel great myself, he said. My family, I feel I still have more to fight for, more to prepare for. His words suggest that while he still has the hunger, he is also aware of the sacrifices his loved ones make for his career. Both matchups would carry serious weight. Dubois would be looking for redemption, while Parker has proven himself as a tough, durable contender. Either fight would test Usyk's ability to maintain his dominance in the division as time catches up with him. Still, Usyk knows his time in boxing isn't unlimited. Not more than 2, he repeated, suggesting that while he isn't done yet, he has a clear timeline in mind. He hasn't set a strict number of fights or a specific retirement date, but he seems to know that the finish line isn't too far away. Boxing is all about timing. If everything plays out the way we expect, Usyk versus Parker, Dubois versus Joshua, we're setting up some of the biggest heavyweight fights in recent history. What do you think? Should Usyk fight Parker first? Should Dubois go after Joshua? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.